we've actually got a bit of a treat. I know last time, the very first interview we had was with Tony Carlo, who's also on the line. The last session we had a month ago, we had it with Darren and Fiona Sanders, farmers from South Australia. This week, we've actually got Trisha Butler, also from South Australia. So the funny thing is, somehow, out of coincidence, for some reason, every single one of us, and I promise next week or the next time I'm going to interview someone else, it's probably going to be not from South Australia. It's just coincidental for some reason that all three that have been interviewed so far, or Trisha's going to be about to be interviewed, is all from South Australia. So Trisha, I'm just going to find your name and put you on the line. Hopefully your mic is on. Trisha, are you there?
Yeah, hi Terry.
Hi Trisha. Thanks for doing this.
No problem.
Awesome. Before I get into it, can I just check that you were able to hear Trisha okay? Nice and clear. Great. Trisha, all yes is coming through, so we can begin.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah, now, Trisha, firstly, I want to say thank you because also congratulations on the results you've been posting up on Facebook. I know the last time you did a sort of a 1-year anniversary post as well. So
yeah.
And that was awesome when you did that. And of course, you came out with a second post saying that the returns of that 20, I think it was 24% on the first post came down a little bit because the calculations weren't exactly correct, but it was a bit of a small difference. So that's perfectly fine. But just sharing with you, sharing your experience as well as the results was, I think, very inspiring to a lot of people because the ones who are still brand new to the game or have not really done this and just tippy-toeing in, it just adds to that confidence level for them to begin. But also, I think by them seeing your results, the last pullback, a lot of our members were able to take that inspiration and put it into the market as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it was good to be able to actually share that with somebody because who do you tell when you experience something actually, like that?
You tell your,
so thank you.
Actually, Trisha, just a quick question. Have you told your friends by any chance? Or did they not listen to
you? Only a couple of them because some people's reactions to me trading have been odd, actually.
Right.
Fake things.
Right.
But
okay.
yeah, so I am a little bit more careful now who I talk to about it. But no, my friends are quite happy and would love for me to take on their money, but I'm not prepared to do that yet.
Yeah, no, that was the same as from my experience going way back when I began, and I was excited about this journey as well. And there's actually a couple of good friends of mine from high school that are actually on the line, and they'll probably attest to this. Because back then, I remember I was excited about investing, trading, that sort of thing, and I was trying to share and bring on board pretty much everybody. I was saying, you got to be in this. You're basically being silly not to be in the markets and not investing at all. So, and of course, a lot of our friends in that sort of prime age in their early 20s, they're more into cars.
Okay.
So a lot of their money went into the motor vehicles and doing up their cars and making their cars all fancy. Whereas I was always slowly sort of accumulating wealth and doing nothing but investing and funny enough, driving an old bomb around the place. So so it's interesting how sort of things turn, and now of course everybody else is now I guess older. It's the things have turned 180 degrees pretty much, where I'm either now invest or a lot of them, some of them actually gave me their money when I started my fund years ago. So I manage their money on their behalf, or now they've become my students as well. So I think with people, I think with people, it's potentially it's not their time. And when they see you succeed and over time, when they're in need, it's that saying, when the student is ready, the master will be around. So I think down the track, you'll be the master or sensei that they've been looking for. So you'll be fine.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's yeah. I just got to calm down my enthusiasm. But yeah.
Okay. Now let's actually begin. I just wanted to ask you firstly, where are you from? I know I did mention you from South Australia, and also what you do for a living as well.
Yeah, so I'm from Adelaide, and I help clients with their health and well-being. And it sounds like you need a session, but but with body talk and coaching. But I also test accounting software as well.
Oh, okay, awesome. And I mean, how How long have you actually now? I know this last post was a couple of months ago, but how long have you been with the Freedom Trader Blueprint? And so far, what's been your experience today?
Well, I did the course in November 2016 and started trading in January 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, so before that, I only had 3 stocks, which had been in my drawer for 10 years or so.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that actually.
Yeah, but now, or as of yesterday, I think I have 53 positions over 40 different
Mm,
stocks. So
mm.
nothing that I would have expected I would ever do. Um, I So I'm really loving the trading because I'm a bit of a geek anyway. I like computer programs and yes, and details. So trading
Mm.
really suits me. Um, yeah, and when I first started trading, like I used to get very disappointed when it was Sunday or Monday and there was nothing, no trading,
Yeah.
nothing to play
Yeah.
with. But yeah, so yeah, very enjoying the whole process.
Awesome. Yeah, later I'm going to be showing. Trisha was kind enough to send me a spreadsheet of basically her latest results, and also, I know she mentioned to me a while back that she was looking at potentially helping out her mum and managing her mum's side of things as well. And she was kind enough to also send me her the portfolio of her mother as well that she's been looking after. So I'll be sharing that with you, and it's actually quite. When I saw the results, when I opened up the spreadsheet, it was actually quite enlightening to see, and I'm very proud of the fact that the Blueprint has actually allowed Trisha to achieve these type of results as well. So I'll be sharing that with everybody once of course, towards the end of the our interview. And Trisha, before Blueprint, what sort of I know you said you had the 3 stocks sort of in a drawer, but what type of frustrations did you experience in regards to investing, or even looking at towards that financial future side?
Well, basically, I didn't know where to start. I was intrigued by shares, but I
Mm.
wouldn't have known where to get more information or what strategy to take. So I was very glad to get your email out of the blue. Um, and yeah, not have to go out there and try and choose what sort of way I was going to trade or anything, because the market seems to make it seem confusing and complex and take a lot of time, whereas that is not actually the case
Yeah,
once
yeah.
you know it. Not with
Mm.
your strategy anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, once like you probably found is once you systemize things, it's definitely so much easier and so much more time effective as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So like now I can actually see a good financial future, whereas before it, yeah, was a bit too slow and didn't know
Yeah,
how I was going to do it. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. No, it's good that. So you're saying that it's giving you a bit more clarity. Would that be right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel very comfortable about that, about
Yeah.
my financial future now.
Awesome. And what process are you currently using to do your research on, say, when a new stock, for example, to find new stocks?
To find new stocks, well, I mostly use smart money now.
Mm.
So I look at the smart money first,
Yep.
really.
Okay.
And with smart money, I haven't ever run out of anything to buy yet. So
Mm.
so I haven't had to choose anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like in the beginning, I did look at what the scan comes out of FinViz and of course I look at your investments and watch lists, but but as I've seen that the whole year now, I know those.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so most of mine come out of smart money, and it's great to see that when I choose and buy a stock to find the next week that you've actually bought the same stock on exactly the same
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah.
so see how systematic Well, your system is, because
Yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of our members are sort of either buying the same day or literally within 24 hours, and that's really good to see. So it means
yeah,
and sometimes the other thing too that I find is some of our members are finding or buying stocks that I'm not involved in, which is even better as well. So showing that our systems are not just, of course, just watching what I'm doing, but being able to find stocks that I'm not. If I'm not investing, it does not mean that they're not exactly good stocks, just that I'm not buying it. That's all. So potentially there are also opportunities, and some of us, like I think Chandara just said, sold out of AMAT at 14%. So I didn't buy into AMAT, but yet, I was able to profit from that. So it's good to see.
yeah. I got a little concerned when at one stage you said something about that you'd bought 31 positions or something when
Right.
when it dropped. I'm thinking, oh dear, I bought 38. How did I get more? But they're all doing okay.
Yeah, and that's why I wasn't worried, because it's sometimes we don't always get the timing correct at 100%. And this is what I've been saying all along. Our systems will give us the highest probability, which is usually about 8 out of 10 or 80% will get the timing right. But there's always that 20% that sometimes the timing is not exact, and we might be off by a little bit. But I'm okay with that, because we've done it for so long now that even though we don't get it right, we know that we're still buying more, and we've still got cash anyway. And even if we don't have cash, those positions, I know for a fact that it's likely, because we bought it at quite low prices, they're going to be reversing anyway. So it's just sitting calm and not worrying about it. And maybe what it may be though is, yes, maybe because we didn't buy it exactly, to the we follow our systems, but it doesn't mean that we get the timing right. So our profit might just be smaller. It's going to be a profit, but it's just not as big as what it could have been maximized. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I've found really interesting, how forgiving the market is. Like, you don't have to be exact. Like, long as you use most of the criteria that you've taught us, that like being a little bit out, you're still going to be okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
doesn't make it as stressful as
Yeah, no, exactly. And because sometimes I get questions on, there's 10 criterias and it's meeting 8 or 9 of them, and it doesn't meet on one little small criteria. Is it okay? And yes, it is. The truth is, but of course, if you're a beginner, try to stick with 10. But as you go along, you'll see, okay, it's missing 1 or 2 criteria. But big brand name, dominant position, yeah, it's okay. And the market's quite forgiving that you don't stick. It does not have to be 100%. Plus, also timing. Even if you don't get the timing right, it's still okay as well, provided, of course, it's not basically a sort of a shocking company. Which, for example, I don't know if some of you may have heard, where recently Get Swift in Australia, where it's been, now there's a class action over it, where it was basically lying to the market about getting contract after contract. In actual fact, there was really no contract. They were just giving free trials to a lot of these big companies like CBA and Australia Post, and it basically got revealed that where the stock shot up to 4%, $4, sorry, it got revealed that no, in actual fact, there were no contracts. It's just a trial that they've done, and most of them drop off and don't end up becoming their clients anyway. Yeah, and then Get Swift was at that time darling of the market. However, the numbers did not stack up. It was basically way overvalued. If you put it through our criteria, it wouldn't have passed one of them. So a lot of people clambered on board because they were hearing about market news about potential Amazon signing up onto it's a logistics side. So they look after, they were a startup basically potentially taking on board to the likes of FedEx and UPS going forward, and may become a FedEx down the track. However, nowhere near the size, nowhere near the clout. In fact, once the news broke that they were actually pretty much lying to the market, the stock got suspended, and today opened at 95 cents. So it dropped from $4 to 95 cents. Yeah. So criteria allow us to avoid those type of companies, and even the likes of Myers, where it's been in cyclical downturn, and there is no way that Myers would pass even one of our criteria at all. So if we are able to avoid these type of companies and not get caught up into the fad or the what do I call it, the tips, so to speak, like Get Swift was a tip. Because I remember someone said, look at Get Swift. maybe have a look into and invest, because it's a startup that's going to go somewhere. And of course, I looked at the numbers; it didn't stack up, so I didn't even look at it at all, really. And of course, that happened only over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, so the systems work, and it is forgiving, but of course, it's not forgiving only if you literally break all the rules, and then it's not forgiving.
Yeah, that's true.
So thank you for that insight. What would if I said, Trisha, what's your typical day look like? How much time and focus do you actually spend on, your so-called freedom portfolio?
Well, like I said, I like details, so I have everything recorded, and so in summer it's great because in Adelaide the market closes at 7:30, so I can get up at normal time, like 6:30.
Yeah.
In winter I get up at 4:45 because the market closes at 5:30, which is so yeah, then up for the market. Then both my day jobs start a bit later, so I spend like half an hour to an hour after the close, just recording trades and writing the journal depending on what came up, and evaluating new companies. Also, so preparing my lists for the next day, reading the Wall Street Journal. And I also use IB charts to check the Aussie market to see if there's anything I need to worry about for that day, because I'm a bit hit and miss with the Aussie market though, because I'm normally working or with a client. So yeah, I prefer the US market because it's nice and clean and finished in the morning.
And actually I have the same feeling as you, because for example, when I was in Adelaide with the all the farmers last week, Thursday and Friday, I was in the conference, and I couldn't look at the Aussie market at all. So I actually missed out on wanting to buy something in the Aussie market. So the US market, I was able to get the job done, and then literally just, that's it, let it go, and to have the day free to myself, so to speak, compared to the Aussie market.
Yeah. So it's normally only a half an hour to an hour afterwards, but of course with the pullback last week it was a lot more than that. To make sure all my lists are up to date and ready to go.
Yeah, awesome. And what current tools are you actually using to help manage your portfolio? Is it just pretty much recording things on Microsoft Excel, for example?
I use Excel extensively.
Yeah, and by the way, for those who don't know, Trisha is an expert on Excel. I've seen her Excel spreadsheet; it is way more advanced than mine. So very impressive.
I do like your trading diary there, but I also have a research spreadsheet too. So that has the what the valuation was and PE, and I have a matrix that works out whether that is a high prospect or a low prospect. So I have got to learn a lot about Excel by doing this. I also use it for market indicators as well. So in case I'm not fully awake, in the mornings I put in the numbers from the S&P 500 and the VIX, and that's all color coded. So in case I'm not paying attention, if it all goes bright red, of course I don't do anything. So apart from FinViz and Guru Focus, IB, I use IB's mobile application for the Aussie market if I'm out and about. That's only because I'm looking at a couple. But stock charts I use extensively. Heaps.
That's even myself. That's one of my main tools as well with stock charts.
That really works really well for me. Awesome. I also use OneNote for as a journal, because I found it good when I was when you for some reason something comes up months later and you think, well, why didn't I buy it then, or because how you look at stocks, or for me how I looked at stocks progressed, when you go back and looking at the history of things, it's good to know why you either like a run out of money or the market was high or whatever.
Yeah.
Being able to search on it, I found really handy for my progress.
Okay. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because sometimes it's interesting when we see something now and we wonder, sometimes I even wonder, did I, like, I'll go back and say, I wonder if did I actually buy that at the time? And if I didn't, why didn't I buy? And that's when you talk about your notes, because you go back in time and you go, yeah, I should have bought it. And you sort of, I had a regret that I didn't buy it. But then when you look at the notes, like, why didn't I buy it? Potentially I had no cash, or potentially there was something else that was happening. So it just puts you back at ease that, yeah, I made the right decision based on the information that I had at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, actually, what I might do now, Trisha, I'm gonna bring up, it's okay, I'm gonna bring up your the spreadsheet you sent to me. So
Sure.
it's gonna be your one as well as your mother's, the portfolio that you started to look after for your mum. So I just want to share with people what type of results that Trisha's been able to achieve. And it's quite actually very, very inspiring, because as you all know, Trisha's just been in the markets or live just over a yearish now. And in total, this is her spreadsheet. So it starts from pretty much row 9. And if I scroll all the way down, so in about basically just over a year and 1 month, I think it is, it's 118, row 118, minus 109. So about 109 completed positions, and of course that's not including the current as well. So these are completed, and when I look at her the ROI basically, and I think she was saying, Trisha, correct me if I'm wrong, in your email you said that you were sitting on 88% success rate.
Yes.
Yeah, the ROI is sitting from 10. There's a couple of obviously there's a couple of which is totally to be expected. We do not get all of them right. Minus 6% here, and you can see the names here. They're not small names, the ANZs, the Apples of the world. So minus 6% here, a couple of Amazon, minus 7% there.
That was a stop loss problem.
A stop loss? Yeah, okay. Scroll down, and actually I remember this one. You're talking about Hibbett, which is one that you bought a while back, and that was sitting at that's one of the biggest, so-called the biggest mistake or the biggest losses you've ever had, at minus 43%.
Yeah, and that's because I didn't take smart money into account, so that had very little smart money. Yeah, but I was saved by position sizing, because at the time that was half of position size.
Yeah,
and that
awesome.
Loss of my whole portfolio was actually only 0.8%.
Yeah, and it shows. Loss. Yeah, it really does show why position size is so important. So even if you've got a massive loss, it's okay, because it doesn't drag your entire portfolio basically into the gutter. Yeah, I clearly remember this one, because I was I think I was presenting in Adelaide, and we had a good chat about this Hibbett and what you should be doing with it.
It's not even back up to the buy price yet. So a year later, down.
So,
I'm glad I sold out.
Sometimes you just got to say, okay, a mistake was made. Even from myself, I had Chipotle, the CMG code CMG, and a lot of you have seen it. I think Frank asked me why I sold, and Chipotle, we saw there was smart money involved. Bill Ackman having one big position in there as well, and it was really because I was in the States, as some of you are aware, late last year, and I consciously made an effort while I was there in San Francisco and LA to actually visit a couple of Chipotles and even try out their food. And I was definitely not impressed at all, from service-wise to even the food quality as well as the pricing. So I knew that there was really nothing special about Chipotle. So I had no idea why it was supposedly was such a high-ranked stock, and with PE ratios so high as well, classified as a growth stock, and I could not see it as well. So we bit the bullet and ended up selling Chipotle, and I think one of the positions was minus 20%. But and it was perfect timing too, because we were waiting for the RSI to finally go above 70. That was the option for us to, it was a bigger loss, minus 30+% at one stage. Ended up being minus 20 on one of the positions, and the other one was a little bit smaller. But okay to just take that loss and move on. And since we moved on, Chipotle had another problem again, and then the stock, because of the pullback, the stock actually dropped back way above. Would have held on. If I had held on, would have been towards a minus 40% loss again. So it would have been a waste of time waiting for it further.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so sometimes just a lesson there. Bite the bullet if the decision is wrong. Bite the bullet and move on. I'm just moving scrolling down to Trisha's portfolio, and you can see how there's a couple of small losses here and there. Hibbett being the biggest one, which was really a mistake on her end, but lesson learned. And the rest are just little tiny, -2, -2%. But yet all the ROIs on the others are, of course, offsetting that by a mile. So 88% success rate. So congrats, Trisha. This is one of the best results I've seen as well. And very proud that you're doing what you're doing. So it's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, now I'm going to now quickly just, so Trisha was, I remember even Trisha mentioning to me about, potentially managing part of her mum's money. I said, sometimes there's a bit of difference because now there's extra pressure that you're now managing other people's money, because I know that for a fact because I'm from managing other people's money. So I said, just be careful, start small. And she has. But I mean, if I looked at her complete investment, and this is unbelievable, row 9, ended up with row 40, so what, 31, 32 investments so far, complete investments. And you'll see that every single one she's not made a loss on the completed side. So it's 100% strike rate on the mother's portfolio. And Trisha, by the way, is your mother okay with this?
Yes, she's quite happy with that.
I mean, if you look at the annualized, it's actually quite ridiculous with 100% success rate. Yet some of them are annualized at easily all double digits, and some of 200%. Versus that, her money sitting in the bank and doing nothing, right? So
yeah. Yeah, she's quite happy. She keeps saying, "Oh, I only worry about the dividends." And I'm thinking, Mum, you're not going to get any dividends. You're just going to get profit. Okay.
There is no point in holding something for a 3% dividend for a whole year, 3-4%, when you're making 16, 17, 20% in literally months. So hopefully she understands that.
Yes, yeah. Well, she is happy that it's gone up. That's for sure.
No, that's awesome to see. Actually, just out of interest, everybody, what's your thoughts? Just a quick feedback on what's your thoughts about Trisha's results, just from seeing this. And Trisha, while I'm waiting for that, I just want to ask you, just from the results I'm seeing so far, what's been the impact and where you see that blueprint and inner circle has provided towards this financial future that we talk about?
Well, it's been a huge impact. So, like, I wouldn't have had, I didn't have an avenue to increase my financial future exponentially like I do now. So, yeah, really do see that financial freedom in the future. Yeah, and I'm taking on my super fund, which I was a bit daunted by that before this pullback because I'd had a whole year of the market not doing much. Yep. But now that I've experienced that, I feel a bit more comfortable. And hearing you say about always looking at the percentage rather than the dollar value has been great because, like with this pullback, I think the shares that I did have went down 6% or something, rather than which is all within market norms. Is nothing unusual. So getting used to just looking at the percentage has been great. So sizing up for my superannuation should be pretty easy, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having a chat with you because you asked me that question about, with the market's been great and you've only experienced nothing. This is prior to the pullback. And I clearly remember you said you've experienced nothing but an up market. So if there was a market pullback, what would happen? And I remember saying to you, I mean, I've done this for, almost 2 decades. So I said, our systems are built to expect more market pullbacks. And during market pullbacks, it just means that, we potentially would have sold off a lot of stuff. And it's, besides the risk management of position sizing, we'd have the cash ready to go for looking for the opportunities when the market pullback actually occurs. So I don't know whether at that time, did you take that in stride or, and of course we've seen the market pullback now. So, compared to what I said versus what actually happened, what's your feeling now?
Well, I was amazed on how calm I was. I was super organized and ready. You know, like I said, I had all my lists and I had them all recorded in IB on the watch list, so I didn't have to pick the stocks either. They were all sitting there waiting for me to press the button.
Yeah.
Um, um, but yeah, I was amazed on how calm I was through the whole thing. So it was great. It's
Mm.
great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, to be able to, I guess, to know, yeah, to fully know the system before that happened. But yeah, it was good.
Mm. Okay. Awesome. I mean,
Mm.
there's a lot of pretty much from all the messages just come through. I thought I'd just let you know, Trisha. So I asked about, what's your thoughts about Trisha's results, and a lot of them I'll just read rather than just the names. I'll just read out some of the comments. Fantastic, impressive, inspiring, and a ripper. Congrats again, great results, amazing, amazing, great effort. Fantastic, Trisha, well done. Great, well done, great results. Looks fantastic and great to see. Congratulations on your success. A lot of amazings with exclamation marks. Giving me greater motivation. So thank you, Terry and Trisha. This was from Philip. Exciting results from Trisha. Inspiring, wonderful work. Good on you, Trisha. Trisha, you're an inspiration. Great results and thank you for sharing. Great, Trish. This is from Monica. Great, Trish. Go, girl. Can Trish clarify the criteria in her comments? Smart money, watch this, etc. Eva's got awesome. Love to be. I'd love to be also detail orientated. Can this be learned? Ha ha ha. Okay, Eva. Yes, you can. Trisha is a bit of a geek, but it can be learned. Florence got Trisha so inspiring. Congratulations. Yeah, so it's just a lot of pretty much congratulations, and of course, you've inspired people, Trisha, and that's the main point I want to get across. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. I mean, you're getting the results, well deserved, because of course you put in the effort. And now just seeing you also manage your family's wealth as well is great to see, and slowly I can see it already transitioning towards self-managing your super fund as well.
Yeah. Yes, and thank you for your help with that. It's actually saved me $5,000.
Yes, I did say, yeah, just it's not that expensive. So yeah, just find the right person, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh,
Thank
you for sharing that. I did not know that I saved you $5,000. So thank you for sharing that part. That's awesome. Trisha, in terms of through your year's journey, any particular lessons that have been learned which stands out?
Well, yeah, patience is huge, of course, and sticking to the rules. Position size, and obviously, from if I had a bigger position of that one, I lost 40%, I would be pretty devastated.
Yeah.
The importance of smart money. One of the things that I had to learn was about exchange rates. Now, I used to work in the bank, so I know what exchange rates are and difference in currency and stuff.
Right.
However, when I started, all my money basically went in the market at 0.76. And then when my my portfolio started to go up, weird things happened. My US balance went up and my Australian balance went down. That's because the exchange rate went up to 80. So that confused me a little. And basically all the things that I've put in place, like the Excel spreadsheets and everything, are all to get rid of any hesitation. So with the exchange rates, I actually worked it out manually to work out, to totally understand where my portfolio was.
Okay.
And so yeah, and one of the things that I learned, because a lot of all my money was in US dollars in the end, and I was still playing around with Australian stocks. Don't do that. Once your money's converted to US, don't buy Australian stocks because it's not worth it. Converting the money back. But yeah, I guess, like what I said before, that the market is really forgiving, particularly if you keep your position sizes right. Yeah.
Okay. And where do you see now you going with your investing and trading in this year and beyond?
Well, my super fund is the next thing, and then like I hope to get enough money in my portfolio that I can actually start earning an income from it. Would be the
Okay.
step after that. But yeah, I do have some actual real offers to take on their money, but I'm not sure how to make that work. I might have to talk to you about that.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Yeah, so yeah, like I can really see it now, like with my body talk and my coaching, I can do that from anywhere in the world. So now with having the trading as well, you know, I can do any of them anywhere in the world. So I might be off. I might be. I might not be here much longer. So,
and that's I mean, ultimately that's what we do it for. It's, you know, I talk about freedom of you know, besides, you know, money freedom, time freedom, but location freedom, and this is what we do, or this game allows us to do, being the markets, financial markets, allows us to pretty much live on a laptop and be wherever we are, a laptop with internet access. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've looked at all the places in the world, what time the market closes for the year. I'm looking forward to going to London and closing the market at night. And
yeah, that's actually interesting, because when I was in Asia and Singapore, you know, they're 3 hours behind us, so therefore I could, you know, potentially do the open actually. So it was like doing it at nighttime, you know, after I've played all day, and then I do it at nighttime rather than doing the early morning. So it really does work wherever you are in the end. It does not matter at all.
yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it really is really cool. Yeah, so just for our members, what would be the 1 to 3 action takeaways that you can share with our group that's been you know, vital to your success?
Well, the big thing for me is getting rid of any hesitation. So, like I use my journal heaps to know, you know, if I hesitated buying a stock, why that might have been. Like, did I not know what price I wanted to pay for it, or did I already have one position that in that? Should have I had 2 positions, or whatever made me hesitate? Like one of the things that I was so fascinated with the buy, one day I forgot to sell when I first started.
Right. Yep.
So that's why I look at the cells first in the morning.
Yep.
And for me, it was getting clearer and clearer, and what allowed me to make quick decisions in the morning. So when I get up in the morning, all my programs automatically come up. 12 screens come up with one command. So
now you're making me jealous.
yeah, so yeah, whatever makes it quickest. Like I had a checklist at one stage which had 78 steps in it. Now that but that was all about because I wanted to not swap between screens all the time. So it was about working out what order to do things to make it quicker and more streamlined. Yeah. Apart from making sure you're using all of Blueprint's strategies and stuff, it's get rid of any hesitation. So if you don't know something, work it out. Or ask somebody, or just because if I started to get too many hesitations, I would have stopped doing it.
Yeah, I mean, how interesting is that? So everyone, please take note. Basically, Trisha is, you know, in summary, is that she's systemized everything to make literally the whole process work, and basically like a wheel just spins, and there is no clunkiness that any potential clunkiness would have stopped basically a vital decision making process. So if you can that running, and literally get everything ready from the what investments you're planning to buy, what investments you're planning to sell, and have that ready on hand. So the next morning when the markets are actually up and open, we are really doing in the end is deciding the ones that we were prepared to sell. Are we now going to sell it, or do we hold back? And the ones that we're going to buy, do we buy it, or do we hold back? As simple as that. Would that be right?
Yeah. Basically, everything I do, but basically makes it a paint by numbers system, really. Yeah. You do this, you do this, and you do this, and great. It's all clear. So in the morning, it's just has it crossed, basically.
Yeah, it's all about, for me, I call it all about being in flow. So if we can get that flow right, the rest just works like a charm. There's hardly any mornings where you basically procrastinate at all. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Greg. Greg just said, can I say what I said again? Just a summary of what Trisha said basically is, if we can ultimately systemize everything, that makes our decision-making process for both our buys and sell, prepare all that. So by the time that the market is actually open and we've only got that half an hour, 45-minute window, say early in the morning, we know exactly what we want to buy, what we want to sell, and all we're doing is just double checking it to make sure that either we do buy or we do sell, and then we move on. So that decision-making process is literally, I can say, almost immediately. So it's almost black or white. There's no sort of gray area. Should I or shouldn't I? And if you can get that black and white, then I call it flow. And once in a while you go, oh, I misread that one and I should have gotten that one. Yeah, that happens, but that's okay. That's just one in many. The right ones that you would have made anyway. So it's all fine. Yeah, cool. And Trisha, final question: would you recommend others? I mean, most of us pretty much that here Blueprint and Inner Circle, but would you recommend others join Blueprint and continue their Inner Circle journey?
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to when you have an affiliate program, actually.
Awesome. That was something in my mind, and I actually tinkered around with it about a year and a half ago, and it sort of came, and I've been so busy trying to basically create content for Blueprint as well as Inner Circle, so I've sort of let that go. And once I get this up and running, we'll have, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but we're actually take on board. We've actually, Freedom Trader's grown to a stage where now that some of the, what would I call it, some of my admin stuff needs to be taken care of. So I'm actually onboarding 2 full-time staff as well. So,
well done.
So it allows me to spend more time with you guys and creating more content and just focusing on looking after Blueprint and Inner Circle. Just giving more time to do what I love most and not worrying about all the admin stuff in the back end.
Oh, so, that's awesome, Terry.
Yeah, so that's happening. I've actually found 2 great people. One on the website side, so which it's funny enough. People say, "Oh, Terry, who did I employ to create my website?" And basically what I have, what you see, the blog and everything. And the truth is, I actually spent time myself learning the programming side on WordPress and creating all that. There was actually because I always wanted to be hands-on to, if things go wrong, I can immediately fix it. So I actually spent time studying all that in my spare time and creating the blog and the website of what it is today. Yeah, what you see is pretty much has been really a one-man team in the end. Of course, my beautiful wife helps me on making things pretty, like some of the worksheets and that sort of thing. I have in my mind the content, but she makes it look pretty. But now, hopefully, down a track, I mean, I can tell you now, if it was up to me to make it look pretty, it won't be what it looks like. It will be quite ugly. I'll just be honest with that. So yeah, and putting on another person, an executive assistant, project manager, so she's going to be looking after me, just all the admin stuff and taking a lot off my plate. So yeah, so that's what's happening, and hopefully I can make this Blueprint and Inner Circle. Plus, when there's questions and Facebook, that sort of thing, I can be more engaged and have more time doing that, which is really what I love versus just doing all the back end that people don't see. So
yeah.
So anyway, that's I thought I'd just share that with everyone. So thank you, Trisha. That's all we have in terms of the actual interview. So Trisha, thank you again. It's been awesome, and I think most of us would have found tonight quite fascinating, and of course, just from the comments, very inspiring as well for people who are starting or currently on their journey and moving towards that profitability factor as well.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. Well, it's all because of you, so thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Trisha. Awesome.
Thanks.
Okay. What I might do is before I go into the next section, can I just get a couple of, I guess, big takeaways that you learned from Trisha? So any takeaways? Put a T in front. Any takeaways you've been able to get out of, from Trisha's our interview? It's actually been quite in depth, and just from seeing her results. Philip's got keep a good diary. Florence, don't hesitate. Karis has got be organized. Arenka, system approach is the way to go. Penny, be organized with everything. Rodney, patience and having the systems and flow in place. Sandra, that it can be done. Greg's got the big one is temperament. Yeah, and temperament is what Warren Buffett always talks about. You know, a person with high IQ versus which does not have temperament will actually fail in this game. So you're actually better off with a person with average IQ but a great temperament. They actually end up winning the game. Eva's got systems are important. Frank, learn what you don't know. Laura's got watch details and smart money. Darren, Fiona Sanders, systemize to remove procrastination. Claire's got the same thing, systemize with hyphen marks. Tony, lots of knowledge to keep fear at bay. David's got don't procrastinate. And there was I know there was a question from one of our members saying, you know, why was there a 0 position size on one of Trisha's flowchart? The Excel spreadsheet, it was because that 0%, I had a quick look at it when I was talking to Trisha. But what that was it was a spin-off. So in actual fact, Trisha did not put any of her money in that position. So therefore, hence why a 0 position size. No actual cash from her own pocket. Paul's got simplified systems to help with decision making. And Trisha Tran, follow the system and do not hesitate. Awesome. Thanks everyone for that.